Marhaba, respected viewers. I'm George from Ireland. Here I am in London at this pro-Palestinian rally on Whitehall. That's the main government street, well, street with lots of government ministries along it. You can see some chap bearing aloft the Palestinian colours in front of the statue of, Viscount Slim. Anyway, so it's on today because today is the G7 summit taking place in Cornwall, United Kingdom. So Joe Biden is here visiting, obviously, Boris Johnson. The G7, this group of the seven largest economies in the world. It was the G8. Russia was excluded over the invasion of Ukraine way back in 2014. But anyway, so you can see lots of placards here with bearing legends such as Free Palestine. And this is the Ministry of Defense right behind it. So a very good-natured atmosphere. It's actually rather low-key, so the pep has run out of it. So, and then there's this poster here bearing the words, "No justice, no peace." Israel is a terrorist state, with photos of hundreds of people killed by the Israeli Defense Forces, particularly children. So Israel would have us believe that they're all killed accidentally, and perhaps they were most killed accidentally, but it's hard to believe that all of them were killed by accident. So remembering all those civilians who've lost their lives. But, you know, certainly in the United States, very few people would know that far more Palestinian civilians have been killed than Israeli civilians, far more. So now 100 to 1. Now, Israel obviously has most of the firepower. You think they would kill more people. They've also got the high-tech weapon, the precision-guided, laser-guided things. In fairness to the Israelis, they sometimes do give the knock on the roof to say, "Get out, we're blowing up your building in a few minutes," or even a phone call in Arabic to say, "Evacuate the building." Inevitably, you can't avoid all civilian deaths. And they say, well, that's because Hamas and so on, they fight in the most densely populated areas. Although, to some extent, that'd be true of the IDF as well. That they not have army bases in cities, I mean, air bases in or near cities. And Israel's actually a very small area. Palestine's even smaller, so you can never be very far from the centers of population. So this argument only goes so far. You Palestinians can also say, well, you know, even if we try to avoid killing civilians, inevitably we're going to. Although it's true, though, that the Palestinian fighters, they do sometimes deliberately kill civilians. You know, some of those suicide bombings on things which were indubitably civilian targets. So behind me, this is the cenotaph, that memorial to oh no, that's the ones for women. The women of the Second World War, women who did their bit in the Women's Land Army and so on. So this is the gates of Downing Street. Now normally this would be closed to pedestrians, obviously you can walk on the pavement on either side. This is for traffic, there are bus routes here. So that's the gates of Downing Street. The gates of Downing Street erected about 1980 under Margaret Thatcher because there's a high terrorist risk from the IRA and INLA. You go back to the 70s, an ordinary street, you can walk along like any other. So the gates were reduced in scale under Blair, but obviously had to be beefed up again after 9/11. So that's it. Some of them are chanting. So just drawing attention to the illegal occupation of Palestine. Obviously in 1948, the United Nations divided Palestine, gave 1/3 of it to the Palestinian Arabs, gave 2/3 of it to the Jews, even though the populations were the other way around. The Jews were 1/3 of the population of mandatory Palestine, yet they got 2/3 of the territory. Whereas the Palestinian Arabs, they were 2/3 of the people, but got 1/3 of the land. Okay, and here's a sort of a collateral protest against him sporting Bojo helping the King of Bahrain, where the Sunni minority lords over the Shia majority and largely excludes them from rights. Okay. Okay, so here they say, no child is more heinous, no crime is more heinous than killing a child. I saw the SWP, the Socialist Workers' Party, at a store here. Okay. Hands off Al-Aqsa Mosque. So anyway, when do we want justice? When do we want it now? So that's their chant. And they're wearing these green bibs saying the Friends of Al-Aqsa, as an Al-Aqsa Mosque.